Hi there guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with me, your host Simon Conboy. Continuing on with the draft preview series at the moment, this episode will be focusing on the Carolina Panthers. So if you've not seen one of these episodes before, what I'm doing is I'm going through the team's major needs heading into the upcoming draft after free agency, going through my first round mock pick for the team, discussing other options that might be available that they may consider at that point in the draft, and then doing essentially the same thing with rounds 2 and 3, offering up players that fit needs that should be available and will likely be considered by the team at that juncture. So Panthers, they look to address the major bugbear on the team, which is the offensive line. I've criticised before this free agency group in terms of linemen. I think they spent an absurd amount of money on Khalil. As one of the worst moves I've seen this year. I still think that's a need. I think both guard and offensive tackle are spots that they could look to improve and must do in order for this team to get back to the playoffs. I think defensive end is also a need. Bringing back Julius Peppers is all well and good, but him and Charles Johnson, both older players, need to find some young pass rushers, look to the future at that spot. I also think corner is a bit of a need. That's something they could look to, although they may just be hoping that the young guys who weren't terrible last year continue to develop. So in my first round mock, I've got the Panthers selecting Dalvin Cook. I think this is simply a reaction to... Now I know Jonathan Stewart's been extended, but Dalvin Cook offers an element that he doesn't. He's a far more dynamic running back, will help a lot more in the passing game than Jonathan Stewart can. Stewart's been injured a lot over the course of his career. When this offense has been at its best, it has been when they've had the ability to run the ball and run the ball often. I think bringing Cook in would give them that. It would form a fantastic 1-2 punch. And I think he's a top talent and could really rejuvenate this offense. I think there's other players that they could look to consider. I think most likely at that spot, I don't think they'd take Cam Robinson. I think this would be considered a little high, but I think it would be a reasonable consideration. It is a big need in my opinion. I think if they were going to consider anything else other than one of the top backs, it would likely be a pass rusher, whether that's Solomon Thomas. I think Derek Barnett probably fits what they do more. He'd be a logical selection. They could go for one of the corners, but I don't see that happening at this juncture. I think that's something they'll look to address in rounds 2 or 3. If Fournette falls to them, then they'll be all over that. It's a possibility. I personally don't see it happening. So I think Cook feels like the right fit at this juncture. In the second round and the third round, I think they'll be hoping Forrest Lamp falls to them in round 2. Can't see that happening. They've got a couple of picks in round 2, thanks to the trade for Coney Ely right at the end. That's a spot where I think they could look to take a tackle, whether it's David Sharp, who I've got them taking in my second round mock. They might look for Taylor Mouton in round 3. Other running backs they can consider sort of round 2 or 3. It's tough to know where they're going to go. If they want to take a risk on Mixon, he's incredibly talented. Donta Foreman would fit kind of the offense that they've traditionally run there. Guys like Kareem Hunt, I think he'd fit in well. Dion Dawkins is a guy I could see going in round 2 or 3 with any of those selections. The guards, I think Pocic would be a good selection. I think his versatility is going to get him drafted higher than people think. The ability to play all 3 positions on the interior is invaluable. Nico Siragusa is another guard they could consider. This is a team that I have taking Sidney Jones as well in my second round mock with the 40th pick. Simply a pick for the future. One of the things I do think they might consider also in this second round is taking one of the big name tackles, Brantley or McDowell, if they fall to them, with Star Lotulelei being a free agent next season, and he didn't perform particularly well last year. It doesn't offer an enormous amount when he's playing well, he's a good run stuffer, but doesn't offer much more than that. Not a great pass rusher. I think they can look to get one of those two guys, try and beef up that defensive line a little bit. In terms of pass rushers, I don't know, I could see maybe Tyvis Bowser at the end of round 2 being a consideration, but I really think in round 2 they're going to look to get these guard and corner positions locked up. In round 3, possibility of taking a runner if they haven't already. If not, I think they'll look at one of those 2 tackles if they are available. So what do you guys think? Safety, is that a position you think they'd look for? I think it's something that they could consider, but I don't think it's going to be too high on their list of priorities early in this draft, and it is considered a deep group. Do you agree, disagree with any of these picks? Let me know, whether it's in the comment section below, whether it's through the Cover Zero Facebook page, or if you find me on Twitter at Simon Conboy. I'll do my absolute best to get back in touch with everybody. Thank you very much for watching. As always, it has been a pleasure. I've got the Saints coming up later on today, as well as a new entry in the Cover Who series, where I look to discuss a player that I think has been somewhat forgotten since their retirement. That was a very, very effective player in the league. Tune in to find out who that is. I think that's going to be very interesting. Covering the AFC South for the next couple of days, and then my round 3 mock and weekly review will be on Friday. So tune in to check them out. As always, if you've liked it, check out some more of the videos. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Be thoroughly appreciated. Check out the Patreon. As always, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your time, and go Bucks.